Okay.
Okay. All right, you are live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our December question and answer event. And thank you for joining us. We had a couple of technical difficulties. We have some construction here in the building I'm in. They shut the power off, and you know what happens when you power down routers and computers and all that other fun kind of stuff. So hopefully we get through this without too much. We switched from our normal streaming service to Zoom, but we'll get started. And we have, first off, a question that came in December 9th, and it is from Albert. And the reason I wanted to go back to this because it's a really good question pertaining to storage. He has a 22 BH170 and he's wondering about winter storage for the battery. Should it be removed, trickle charged in the spring, and etc. So there's a variety of different recommendations depending on the battery you have. If you have the ability to hook up to 120 volt power, if you've got solar panels, you're going to be outside. And the type of battery, lead acid battery versus AGM batteries versus lithium batteries. And the thing with lithium batteries is you really, once they get down below freezing, they will not recharge if they have a battery management system inside that battery. So the best thing to do with lithium ion, in my opinion, I have a set sitting right back here. We took them out of a Thor Challenger that we put 2 new XPion 360 batteries in. And the thing with that one is when they get down to a certain shut out completely. So, and I don't want them sitting out in the freezing cold. So I just brought them in, I charged them up, then took off the negative plate and just leave them in a warm environment and let them sit inside on the floor here. Now there is the old guard out there is going to go, oh, you can't put batteries on a cement floor that will drop. That is an old technology battery. That has not happened for, I don't know, 30 years, whatever it is. So if you have the ability to be hooked up to 120 volt power and you have a lead acid battery or even lithium ion batteries, just hook that up. Just make sure you disconnect everything else in there, like the stove, or not the stove, the refrigerator at the distribution center, just the circuit breakers in there. Now, one of the things you want to make sure you don't do, and I've got an example of one right here, is here is your main power. You're going to have that on, but you want to make sure you turn off your refrigerator and any other component, but you need to have your converter on, which is your charger. Either this one here is all in one, it's called, or you might have a standalone, which is like the WFCO and some of those that we've used in the past. So if you have access to 120, put that on there. If you don't have access to 120 volt and you're outside, then I would just get a small 100 watt, or you don't even have to go that big, solar panel with a charge controller that will go down. And it's basically designed to just keep it topped off over the course of when it's in storage. One of the ones I really like is a product called Battery Minder. Now, it's not battery tender like you see a lot of these little 2 amp trickle charger. It's Battery Minder. And you can get it at northerntool.com and a lot of other places. And they have a solar panel version of that. And it literally sends high impact waves and conditions your lead acid batteries. Now, you don't want to use that with lithium unless you get, and I don't know if they've got a new lithium battery charger with that or conditioner with that, but I would say, for the lead acid batteries and even the AGM batteries. So what happens if and one of the things you do not want to do is you do not want to put a trickle charger on lithium batteries that is not controllable. Some of these trickle chargers are going to do a little bit too high, voltage cutting, or they do a variety of voltage. They're not made for lithium. So I would not put one of those on there. Just charge it up, get it to full charge, take those batteries out, put them somewhere in here. Now, if you have lead acid batteries and you don't have access to electricity, and it's parked inside, so you're not going to have solar power to charge these things back up, they are going to lose power. That's just the nature batteries of storage are going to lead to inflation, and you could do some damage. So I would take those out and also put them in a garage, and then you can put a trickle charger on those or one of these battery minders. So great question, depending on the area you're at or the type of batteries you have and how you're able to store it. So Joshua has a 2002 Gulfstream B Touring Cruiser, little Class C. That's a little. While traveling through the Pacific Northwest, both the furnace and generator stopped working at around the same time. The furnace is a suburban furnace, and the Generac 55G generator. I've tested the power. The generator cranks as it wants to start, but never turns. How can I fix this issue? And it could be that you have two issues that happen that just happened. You're through the Pacific Northwest. What is your altitude? Where are you at? The higher you get up in the mountains, the thinner the air is, the worse the mixture is for generators, for furnaces, especially. There's a special, sometimes you have to replace the orifice going in and out of that. And so, that's the first thing I would look at is what altitude are you at? And with the furnace, how you into that. Here's how the furnace works. When your thermostat calls for power or calls for heat, let's say, you set it at 68 degrees and it hits down into that, the thermostat closes, which means it's like taking two wires that are apart and then putting them together. And so it sends a 12-volt signal your furnace. So if you're getting power at the thermostat, you need to verify if you're getting power at the control board at your furnace. So once that control board, gets power to the furnace, then the furnace will start the blower motor. That's the first thing to start, because what it's doing is it's purging all the air in the burner chamber. And so it's drawing air from the outside in through your either a vent like this, or you might have a bigger plate, but you've got an in here and an out here. What that's doing is drawing outside air into the burner assembly. None of it gets inside the rig, but it's just purging that air to come in and through, and then it goes out. So while that fan motor spins, then what it's also doing is it's pulling interior air through your return air inside your rig, and then it is pushing it up over the burner assembly. Nothing has been lighted yet, but it's pushing that over, and then there's a sail switch in that unit. I think I have one, yes, right here. So here is our squirrel cage, and it would be sitting like this. So as this cage spins here, and again, and we're pulling air, this is our burner assembly right here. And so inside this is normally put on the front of that. So inside here, it's what's called a sail switch right here. And that fan is blowing air, and it needs to blow enough air to lift this sail switch. Creates another closed circuit saying, yep, I have enough speed, I have enough airflow, everything in it is good. Go ahead and open the spark or the gas valve and start the spark igniter. And so if your furnace is just making a clicking sound when you turn on the furnace, then I would say somewhere in your board here, you either got some corrosion or, and long story around it, probably a bad board. Because if that blower motor is not starting, and something in here is not telling it and not giving it power, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's that board, and it's very possible. So check that out. Check burner. There you are. Craftsy just came up.